In a lush, golden savanna where the acacia trees cast long shadows over the grassy plains, there lived a hare named Malaika. She wasn't just any hare, Malaika was known far and wide as the cleverest creature in the land. Her sleek, golden-brown fur shimmered in the sun, and her large, curious eyes seemed to always be searching for the next challenge. Not far from Malaika's favorite burrow, a hunter named Jabari made his camp. Jabari was strong, with arms hardened by years of wrestling with the wild, and he had one dream, to outwit Malaika and bring her back to his village as proof of his skill. One day, as Malaika nibbled on sweet grass, she heard the faint sound of footsteps. Her long ears twitched as she detected the approach of Jabari. He moved stealthily, carrying a net and a bow. Malaika grinned to herself. "Does he think I'm easy prey?" she muttered under her breath. Jabari crept closer, silent as a stalking lion. But just as he raised his net, Malaika shot into the air, her powerful legs propelling her into a series of leaps and bounds. "You'll have to be faster than that, Jabari," she called back, her voice teasing. The chase was on. Malaika darted through a maze of shrubs and trees, always staying just out of Jabari's reach. But Jabari was no ordinary hunter. He had studied Malaika's movements for weeks. He knew she always escaped into the rocky hills when pursued, and today, he was ready. He had set traps among the stones, carefully hidden under leaves and twigs. Malaika reached the hills, her heart racing. As she bounded toward her favorite hiding spot, her paw suddenly snagged on a vine. Snap! The trap closed around her foot. "Oh no!" Malaika exclaimed, struggling to free herself. Jabari emerged from the bushes, grinning triumphantly. "Got you now, Malaika." But Malaika wasn't one to give up easily. "You may have caught me, Jabari," she said, her voice calm despite her predicament, "but catching me is only half the battle. Let's see if you can hold on to me." Jabari leaned back against the tree, watching the river shimmer in the afternoon sun. He chuckled at the hare's audacity. "Singing stones," he muttered under his breath, shaking his head. "What else will she think of?" But Malaika wasn't wasting any time. With her sharp teeth, she gnawed steadily at the ropes around her legs, careful not to attract Jabari's attention. The fibers began to fray, but she knew she needed a distraction to complete her escape. "Jabari," Malaika called again, her voice light and curious. "I can't believe you've never heard the story. The elders say the stones in this river carry the songs of our ancestors. Only those with a pure heart can hear their melodies." Jabari raised an eyebrow. "Is that so? And what does it sound like, this song of the ancestors?" Malaika's ears perked up. She had him hooked. "Oh, it's like the hum of a distant drum, soft at first, but it grows louder the closer you get. Go ahead, touch one of the flat stones near the water and see if you can hear it." Jabari laughed, shaking his head at her tall tail. But curiosity got the better of him. He rose from his seat, stretched, and walked toward the riverbank, his feet crunching softly on the pebbles. He crouched by the water and ran his hand over a smooth, cool stone. He said, frowning. "I don't hear anything." "Ah, but you're not listening with your heart, Jabari," Malaika teased. "Close your eyes and concentrate." Jabari sighed but did as she suggested, closing his eyes and tilting his head as if to catch the faintest sound. Behind him, Malaika's sharp teeth worked faster on the ropes. With a final tug, the last strand snapped, and her legs were free. She stayed perfectly still, her nose twitching as she watched Jabari. He was still by the river, tapping on stones and muttering to himself. With a soft chuckle, Malaika slowly hopped backward, careful not to rustle the grass too much. Once she was far enough, she turned and sprinted for the safety of the tall savanna grass. The rustling caught Jabari's attention. He turned just in time to see a blur of golden-brown fur disappearing into the distance. "Malaika," he shouted, slapping the water in frustration. "You tricked me again." Her laughter carried back to him on the wind. "Next time, Jabari, try listening with your heart." "Ha ha ha." Jabari shook his head, a grudging smile tugging at his lips. "You're clever, Malaika. Too clever for your own good. He returned to his camp, more determined than ever. If Malaika thought she had won, she was wrong. Jabari vowed to use her cleverness against her. The following night, Jabari devised a plan. He knew Malaika was as curious as she was clever. He also knew she couldn't resist a good challenge. So, instead of chasing her, he prepared a trap she wouldn't see coming. Under the pale light of the moon, Jabari laid out a feast fit for a queen. Sweet carrots, fresh greens, and ripe bananas were carefully arranged in the center of a small clearing, their scents wafting into the cool night air. Around the clearing, he set up thin tripwires connected to hidden nets, all designed to catch the hare when she least expected it. Then he hid himself among the thick shrubs, his bow and net at the ready. Malaika, lounging in her burrow, sniffed the air. Her stomach growled. The scent of the feast was irresistible. Sweet carrots, she muttered, licking her lips. But her sharp instincts kicked in. Wait a moment. Jabari wouldn't just leave food lying around. He's up to something. Cautiously, Malaika emerged from her burrow. The moonlight bathed the clearing in a soft glow, making it easy for her to spot the tempting pile of food. But she also noticed the faint glint of a wire near the carrots. Her eyes narrowed. So, Jabari wants to outsmart me, does he? She whispered to herself. Let's see who's really clever. Malaika gathered a bundle of dry grass and twigs, wrapping them together to form a tight ball. Balancing the bundle on her nose, she crept toward the clearing. When she was close enough, she carefully placed the bundle on the tripwire. Snap! The net sprang up, capturing the grass bundle in a flurry of leaves and rope. From his hiding spot, Jabari leapt out triumphantly. I've got you this time, Malaika, he roared. But when he reached the trap, he found only the bundle of grass. A faint rustling behind him made him whirl around just in time to see Malaika hopping away, a banana dangling from her mouth. Better luck next time, Jabari, she called, her voice full of mischief. Jabari groaned, collapsing onto the ground. How does she do it? But before Malaika disappeared completely, she stopped and turned back. Her eyes gleamed in the moonlight. You know, Jabari, she said, hopping closer but staying just out of reach, I've been thinking. We don't have to be enemies. Jabari raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Well, Malaika began, you're a skilled hunter, and I'm the cleverest creature in the savannah. What if we worked together? I could teach you the secrets of the land, where to find the best game, how to set traps no one can escape. And in return, you stop trying to catch me. Jabari considered her offer. And why should I trust you, Malaika? You've tricked me more times than I can count. Ah, but isn't it better to have a clever friend than a clever enemy? Malaika replied, her voice sincere. Think about it, Jabari. With my help, you could become the greatest hunter in the savannah. And who knows? Maybe you'll even learn a thing or two about listening with your heart. Jabari chuckled, shaking his head. You're impossible, Malaika. But I'll admit, you've got a point. Fine, we'll call a truce. But if you trick me again, all bets are off. Malaika grinned. Deal. Now, let's start with the basics. Never trust a hare who talks about singing stones. The two laughed, their voices echoing across the savannah. From that night on, Jabari and Malaika became an unlikely team. While Jabari learned the ways of the land, Malaika found joy in sharing her wisdom. Together, they became legendary, their tale passed down from one generation to the next as a story of wit, wisdom, and friendship.